Previously on Balls.
Hello, Neal.
Clive Barker, lovely to speak to you, mate. You must be
Talk to you too, man.
you must be on cloud nine today, mate. What a sensational victory that was. No one expected that. How does it feel in the bus today?
Yeah, it's terrific. We're about halfway back to Joburg now. When you win, everything seems to be okay. If you lose, it's not such a good trip, eh?
Yeah, exactly, mate. You're in a bus full of players that have just beaten the top dogs in South Africa at the moment, with a bunch of players that a lot of them aren't that well known to us. I quite like your goalkeeper last night. Can you tell me any more about Bafana and Hlapu? Can you tell me how you found him?
Look, I think he's the informed keeper at the moment, Neil. He's hot at the moment, and he's gone 4 consecutive games without conceding a goal. So he's. At the moment, he's the flavour of the month, and he's done really nicely.
Exactly, mate. I was watching him last night. Confident, nice hair, got everything that it takes. And you and I both know, Clive, we go back a long way. A great goalkeeper, a goalkeeper with confidence, makes a side what it is. And I sometimes think that at Aces, we don't know all of the players. We're watching players come through. We're watching players rejected by other clubs. You did a lot of astute signing at the start of the season. Anyone else you'd pick out for me? I mean, Offensinato I like.
Yeah. Of course, of the older players, I think OJ's been fantastic and a revelation.
Yeah,
he reminds me of Muhammad Ali when he strips. He looks very tough. He is tough, and he gets stuck in it. So I think with him, you've got half a chance to win a cup competition because he's the type of player that can perform practically anywhere. But we're very happy that he's really sticking it in, and he seems to really be enjoying it.
Mate, that's brilliant, because the OJ thing was always such a risk, wasn't it? He's been to so many places trying to put things back together in a career that started with such a flash at Spurs. Are you able to tell us that OJ will do you a big season this season? Will he stick to it? Does he demand extra attention from you, Clive, or is he just one of the squad?
No, he's one of the squad, but I think we really wanted to not keep reminding him of what went on in the past, because I don't think anybody likes to have that type of pressure, things like that. He's very, very popular amongst the players. He commands a lot of respect, but I really think that when I look at him, I've actually sat down and spoken to him, not about what his lifestyle's like, I think, but the fact that I'd like to see him playing a holding role in the middle of the park, because I think that's where Spurs initially played him also, and so I just think we're just sorting him out exactly. Look, he needs games. He's been out of it for 6 months. He's only had 2 games. But he's a terrific competitor, and he's a character. He reminds me a lot of Mark Fish.
Yes, we all know what Mark Fish is like, and that's brilliant. That's good to hear. I love it when players come, but Chibanga's been another great example to us all. There's this story about Jabu Pule training at Supersport. Players deserve a second chance. I think sometimes when you're young, you make it, you do go off the rails a little bit. Bouncing back is what it's all about. And Clive, you've always been good at finding players and bringing them back. So, Clive, where can we expect you guys to finish this season? Having beaten, top of the league, Mamelodi Sundowns last night, can we expect the Mpumalanga Black Aces to be a top 8 side this season?
Yeah, I'd be disappointed if they weren't. I think they've got quality players. I think they have the right attitude to want to be successful. Exactly what you said. Half of them have been turned out by other teams because of various reasons, and I just think that they've all found each other something in each player, and they all buy in, and at the moment they're all very, very happy about what's happening. So let's just hope we can keep this ride on the ride at the moment. So it's going well, but you don't want to get fake.
Clive, what's your missus? I used to know your missus quite. Is it Yvonne?
Yvonne, yeah.
Yeah.
She's involved with the ballet at the moment in a big way, and they've got about a week's course. It's a course up in Hilton, so that she's still big in ballet, yeah.
So she's busy in her own right. It's just, are you still 68, Clive, or have you turned 69 yet?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Are you 68 or 69 now?
I'm not going to tell you because I'm very close. I'm very close to Alex Ferguson. You can work it out. I'm 69.
Yeah, mate. To me, I mean, Clive, you and I used to work together in the early 80s. Remember when we all went from Durban City to Bushbucks, or you took a great...
Yeah, you were the start of the campaign that kept football really going and things like that, because were always the Cinderella sport behind cricket and rugby. And I remember when you first started out, and then of course you continued your career when you went overseas, and then of course nice to have you back here, of course.
But for me, it was those days, Clive, when I don't know if South Africans, especially the young ones, won't really know this, but the bravery that you had taking a bunch of lads from a largely, old NFL club called Durban City, who'd won the league twice. You took a lot of those players over to Bushbucks with old Big Bear and Gabani. And I watched painstakingly as we used to go into KwaMashu and into Mlazi and putting up, obviously that was under apartheid. We did things that were unthinkable at the time, Clive, looking back on it. I want to get all enthusiastic about this because it was one of the greatest times of my life. To go in with you to Mlazi, to KwaMashu at that time was an absolute privilege. And then just after I left the country, for reasons of national service, you guys won the league with Bushbucks. How many years ago is that now? That's just incredible what you did.
Yeah, I think it exactly you summed it up because I look at it and I think a lot of names in the township should be named after the white footballers that went in there because everybody took out their frustrations of what was happening in South Africa on a white football club, and you walk out there in a London stadium and you went through the it was spit at you and things like that because it was a chance for them to get even for what was happening in everyday lives in South Africa. So, I think there were a lot of footballers made a great sacrifice, and I think they should try and get some recognition.
I think so,
maybe the current government should identify and name a few roads after them.
Remember that? We used to go in and get tear gas, didn't we? The South African police used to love to come and throw tear gas at us in those days. And Andy Stanton, the big Scotsman. What was that big goalkeeper you signed at Bushbuck? Dave Watterson, wasn't it?
Dave Watterson.
Christ, he was huge, wasn't he? He was a huge goalkeeper.
He was terrific. He had everything attribute to be a good goalkeeper. Big, strong. Bushbuck, I've always argued that was the best side I've ever seen in South Africa because they could play backwards and win. And they really were a marvelous setup with Professor Ngubani driving it, Dennis Wicks with his Peterson, no finisher, Bennett Conway, terrific left foot. And so, and a great defence with Mark Toby leading the line. The argument is who is the better of the brothers. I think overall Neal was the better player, but I think as a defender there was no fear as a defender. Mark Toby was supreme. Well,
let's put it this way: when I used to train with you guys, I didn't mind taking on Neal Tovey, but Mark Tovey I'd be a little bit circumspect. And then of course the Professor. I always had a slide tackle that I thought could stop most people. In those days, you didn't get booked very much. But the Professor would just go straight past me. You remember what he was like. And the best part of all for me, Clive, was getting into the shebeens with the Professor and interviewing him and getting him on the back pages of what were then the Daily News and the Natal Mercury and getting Professor's name out there to the public at large and not just in Mlazi but to the whole of KwaZulu Natal at that time. Those were good days, Clivey. I can't thank you enough for that. You introduced me to football properly. Neal. And do you remember there was a big tall lad that I first took to one of your games called Mark Gleeson? That was his first ever game of football I took him to. He's done well since.
He was terrific because he's been really done so well and he comes over so articulate now, remember? But now he's a terrific guy, things like that. And they were pioneering days and the football was fantastic. People were. It was just a dream and desire. I just wanted to get back into international football and then, of course, being able to do that. But there was some great times.
There were some great times. I remember you having a squad of South Africans with Nelson, Teenage Gladler and all them together in the Holiday Inns in Durban, and that was the first glimpse we had of how good a South African side could be. And Clive, you were right there at the start, and at 69 you're still here and you're still beating the top side in South Africa. And I thought I loved Pete So's response when he put his arm around you last night. I thought that was lovely.
Yeah, thank you. That was appreciate that.
Yeah. I think Pitso gets a lot of flack, but he took it on the chin last night. He knew he was beaten by a slightly superior tactical genius in Clive Clark. Clivey, listen, have a good flight. I love talking to you, mate. We must get together for coffee. Find the old Big Bear and Gabani, and let's all go for coffee somewhere.
Yeah, we will. We'll go reminisce about the old days.
Great stuff, Clivey. Lovely to speak to you, mate, and great win last night. Well done.
Neal.
Cheers, Clivey. Cheers, mate. Sure. Sorry, guys. Everyone else in the studio won't even remember 1985, will you? None of you. You're bloody much too young for all that. Was it 1983, 84, 85? Clive Barker took half the championship winning at the time Durban City side and moved them to Bushbucks in Umlazi under Lawrence Big Bear Ngabani with Professor Ngabani, Daniel Ramarucci. Comfort, am I reminiscing too much now?
Yeah, you did.
Mate,
went
that was
way off
under the
track over
big bad bogey of apartheid. We went into those townships and we loved it. Okay, mate.
Visual Radio.
Weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central African Time. Radio like you've never seen it before. Balls.co.za